Folks, what the crap's going on? HeirofCarthage here, and is Archaon the Everchosen, or is he the Never Chosen? So I got a great game here between Setzer and RTK Kafka. This one is going to be High Elves against Chaos, and apparently in a different language for me up there. In any case, yeah, Archaon versus Techless. To me, this is kind of a funny one. I don't think people, generally speaking, think Archaon is bad anymore. He kind of used to be that way. But Techless is kind of like definitely the Everchosen for the High Elves. I say that. Alariel still does get picked sometimes, but Techless on his Phoenix is a very powerful pick for the High Elves. And we're going to see that here as Archaon and his Warriors of Chaos are taking on Techless and his High Elves. Techless, of course, on his Arcane Phoenix. He's brought a Star Dragon. He's got some Horse Archers, and I'll show you the rest of his army in a moment. There's going to be a lot of early stuff here happening, and I'm just going to let the battle play out, and I want you all to see this. The Hell Cannon is skirmishing some Heralds of the Wind. I like that play. It takes away some ranged and mobile tools from the High Elves. And look at this. Fireballs hitting the Star Dragon. And this just goes to show you can learn something about this game no matter how long you've played it. I've played this game since release, and I have never noticed that the Star Dragon is weak to fire to the this Kindle Flame gives the fire weakness, but the Star Dragon is also weak to fire, so this makes it extremely susceptible to fireballs. It's crazy. Again, I've played this game for a long time, haven't noticed that. So cool combination from Archaon, and look at the damage he's outputting on the Star Dragon. I love the inclusion of some Marauder Horsemen with Javelins, just in order to get some harassment here. They don't, kill these units immediately, but they've got decent range, and they're pretty suitable for this function. Star Dragon's going to dump out a breath attack onto the Hell Cannon. They really want that Hell Cannon dead, so you can see Techless and the Star Dragon are going to go for a dive bomb here. Now, Archaon's supported by an Exalted Hero. His infantry line, there's two Chosen. There's a couple of Chaos Warriors and a Mirror Guard, as well as one Warriors with Halberd back here. And you can see the two Flyers do land in a pretty dangerous situation. I was kind of expecting the Chaos Cavalry to swarm and help hold these two here, and they may have been able to accomplish that. But regardless, the two Flyers for the High Elves are going to get away, but the Star Dragon paid a dear price to get rid of that Hell Cannon. Let's go look at the rest of the High Elf army here. They've got several units of spears. There are two Swordmasters of Hoeth, each out on a flank. There are three Archer units, one in the middle, one on either flank. And Techless, as far as his support, has Enfeebling Foe and Regrowth, and of course his Potion of Shiroi, and the Star Dragon is obviously one of his main damage tools here. But don't underestimate Swordmasters of Hoeth. Those guys absolutely own in a fight against armored infantry, especially when that armored infantry can't really do well back against them, like the Chosen in this battle. But the Chaos Warriors here, in my opinion, their army was chosen rather soundly. No pun intended on the Chosen there. They have huge shields, they have great defense, and they're good against anything low armor, and the High Elves can't really afford a whole lot of heavy armored, armor-piercing infantry. And so I like the call here because the shields offset a lot of the Archers' capability, as does the armor, and it gives them a lot of tools to kind of help bog the High Elves down into a fight they don't want to be in. Look at this healing on the Dragon, kind of barely keeping it alive between the Javelin Cavalry and the fireballs from Archaon. So Archaon really, providing some great support, though a devastating breath attack there from the Star Dragon does tons of damage to the Jav Cav, and it's going to take off running to get behind the lines. It's now being chased by the Heralds of the Wind. You can see Archaon and his Exalted Hero supporting over here. As far as other capabilities for Archaon, he also has the Slayer of Kings and Stand or Die. I don't typically bring Stand or Die when I play, but Stand or Die is the ability that gives 16 leadership and I think 25 melee defense for a short period of time. I usually find that the cost of those things doesn't seem great, but it does have its applications. Late into a battle, especially like with the Chaos Warriors, where they can suffer against, look at that, another hit right on the butt of the Star Dragon. So despite having been healed repeatedly now by Techless, the Star Dragon is still very low, and you can see Archaon's going to come over here and challenge these Archers. But yeah, anyway, Archaon bringing the Stand or Die could definitely be good in the late game where you're more susceptible to terror routes. So it does have a purpose, regardless of whether I use it all the time or think that it's like the world's best or anything else like that. And it's an interesting army choice so far. And as far as the engagement goes, I'm going to slow it down for just a minute because I don't want you all to miss this action, but check it out over here on this flank. I want you to see the Swordmasters in action. They've gotten double teamed by a Chaos Warrior and a Chosen. These are two extremely heavily armored infantry with decent melee defense by all. Sorry, I should say solid melee defense by all accounts. And the Swordmasters are owning. They've already got a Chevron and 65 kills, and that's up against 100 and what is that? 135 units total, or entities, I should say. And that's from a 75 entity. So they are really doing some work. Yes, they will die eventually, but they are going to trade very nicely here. I'm surprised the Spearmen haven't come to do some work, like maybe come outflank or something right here. But as far as the middle goes, Mirror Guards have no problem standing up to all these Spearmen, especially with the help of the Halberds. And then, of course, let's back up over here, turn this off, and let you all continue to watch the fight. Breath Attack almost hits Archaon. Do remember with the Star Dragon that the Star Dragon's Breath Attack is actually quite good against single entity models. Quite good. You can see the Flock of Doom here from Teclis. Great way to help break up blobs for the High Elves and even out some of the hit points in a fight that you may not win just head-to-head from a melee standpoint. There were Swordmasters over here, but I thought Chaos played it nicely. They used the Exalted Hero and Archaon to hurt these Swordmasters a great deal. And this Swordmaster unit, and this is the risk of any expensive unit, whether it's the Chosen or the Swordmasters, isn't going to pay off great. It will still almost get a Chevron here, so it's not like it was a total loss, but it's certainly not going to get as much work done as the one on the other flank, which is now approaching a double Chevron just on its own accord. Comes a Fireball from Archaon, again, point blank. Good damage to the Star Dragon. Archaon's going to flee away. He doesn't want to take this fight singled out, and I don't blame him. At this point, it looks like he's going to flee away over towards the Warriors with Halberds, and this is definitely a good call in order to try and put some distance between him and his pursuers. Unfortunately, Teclis is fast. He's very fast. You can see him easily keeping up with Archaon, even though Archaon's not terribly slow. He's going to go back through his own Halberds here to try and get some mass blocking. Still going to be difficult, but he should be able to lose his pursuers here, but not before he takes some unfortunate damage for him. And you can see Teclis just not going to stay in that fight for obvious reasons, and he shouldn't. Nice charge here by the Marauder Horsemen, who have regrouped from a fight back here in the back with the, the Heralds of the Wind. Look at this over here. The Swordmaster finally gives out. Let's see how it performed. It did get its Chevron and 31 kills, so all things considered, still got some work done. But again, look over here. Almost the double Chevron and 97 kills. Teclis is going to come to try and help clean that fight up. And his ability to terrorize these units pays off instantly. And that's where I was talking about that standard die could actually be handy in certain cases. Like if you had a character over there with standard eye, they might have been able to resist that type of thing. But as it is, they just get absolutely terrified by Teclis. The Warriors of Chaos, in my opinion, very susceptible in a lot of ways to the terror. Another hit right up the dragon's butt with a fireball. See here, the Mirror Guard is now going to suffer the wrath of the Star Dragon. The Star Dragon is a very powerful unit indeed, but the Mirror Guard, unlike their counterparts over there, is immune to psychology. You can rout them, of course, but you won't rout them from just terror. And so they end up holding out a little longer. The Star Dragon is getting exceptionally weak at this point. It's lost a considerable amount of hit points. And as we just kind of scan around the battlefield here, Archaon is cleaning up some routing units. The Halberds are still fighting, some spears in the middle. They won't kill that unit quickly. A Chosen probably would, but the Halberds won't. And then over here, Chaos is cleaning up some archers, and it looks like they're going to be attacked because they're singled out. I think this is solid strategy on the part of the Wood Elves at this point. Or sorry, High Elves. You got to single out and pick off units, especially where Archaon is not. And look at this, here comes another fireball on a fairly weak Star Dragon. Hits it very hard, down to 370 hit points. Those fireballs from Archaon have been absolutely clutch. It has kept the Star Dragon on the ropes for this entire battle. So I'd say it's been very effective indeed. At this point, the Chosen and the Chaos Warriors are having to turn around to face an oncoming spear charge. They're going to be charged from the air by the Star Dragon. The Star Dragon better be careful here. They're not AP, but these Chosen may put some damage down. Yeah, they are, indeed. Look at that charge. Star Dragon barely alive. Routs with only 46 hit points. One fireball from Archaon would finish it off once and for all. You can see, in fact, Archaon coming over here. I think another thing I want to point out on Archaon, he's used it once already in this fight and had some effect, but is the Slayer of Kings. This can be underestimated by a lot of folks, and this is a huge buff. This is 75% armor-piercing weapon damage. It gives him an extra 32% splash damage if he's in a, like a blob fight, and 75% base weapon damage. That is a massive buff to Archaon, and he's already pretty decent when it comes to damage at 491 and armor-piercing of 330. Not to mention, you couple that with his pretty solid melee defense, really good armor, and again, pretty solid melee attack, which is magical attacks as well, which should help out against Teclis, because Teclis does have physical resistance. And I've always found it odd that Archaon doesn't have flaming attacks, but in this case it's good that he doesn't, because Teclis would actually resist it, though the Star Dragon would have been weak to it. And again, such a strange thing, Star Dragon's a dragon weak to fire. I don't know. Maybe someone can explain that to me from a lore standpoint. Look at that. That would have been a killing shot, that fireball. And after all the fireballs that hit, that one missed. And the Wood Elves pick up a huge break there, because right at the same time, Teclis got a regrowth off. Teclis can suck up winds of magic like a Hoover vacuum. The dude gets so much winds of magic if you use him right. He can use so many spells. And he's extremely powerful right now in the state of the game. Very powerful, and combined with the right units, it makes him that much more terrifying. We're going to see here the High Elves regrouping. You can see Teclis trying to get rid of the halberds in the background. Chaos is going to similarly be regrouping here, and they are set up back here with Archaon. And as for what they have left, they have a unit of Chosen here and another unit of Chosen here, both of which are a little beat up. But, I mean, these are some of the best that Chaos have to offer. Granted, they're not the halberds or the armor-piercing variant, both of which could potentially be more handy. But the shields, again, definitely did their job, because, look, the archers are out of ammunition, and not all your infantry's dead. Look at this, the Swordmaster of Hoeth is going to be KO'd by Archaon, and he's going to have to be very careful here. One of the downsides for Archaon, as opposed to lords that have flying units, like Teclis, is that you get a free charge from the air on units on the ground. It can be pretty frustrating at times. But, I mean, it's just one of the advantages that comes with having an aerial unit. The enemy cannot countercharge you while you're charging them. And here you're going to see both characters just try and zerg Archaon right out of the fight. And he is using standard die, which again is very critical at this moment, because look at the leadership on the Chosen. Otherwise, it would be quite low, because remember, they're getting a 16 leadership buff right now, which is very important with Teclis and a Star Dragon attacking them, both of which implement Terror. So this is where that standard die definitely comes in clutch. And Archaon's solid damage here is also going to be important. Teclis also outputs quite a bit of damage, but Archaon also has physical resistance. So these two are both bypassing each other's physical resistance and going straight for the gut here. Archaon is slightly more powerful in terms of just sheer attack, and you're going to see Teclis have to pull out of this fight. The Star Dragon's being used to mop up the Mirror Guard. And again, fortunately for the Warriors of Chaos, the Mirror Guard does not get terror routed and somehow manages to hold its own. The two Chosen continue to fight because Archaon's right here supporting them. Star Dragon is going to land a big charge there. The Enfeebling Foe dropped by Teclis, just one more reason why he's extremely dangerous, because he can drop your melee while healing, and he also does pretty solid melee attack on his own. We're going to end up in a crazy close fight here. The Star Dragon actually gets hurt really bad in this fight. It's down to 258 hit points. And Archaon gets hurt really bad by Teclis, but then look at this. He pops the Slayer of Kings and just absolutely waylays Teclis. And that right there was a very clutch play. This battle's not over yet, though. Teclis and the Star Dragon are only routing. They are not shattered, so Chaos still has some work to do, and Archaon's down to his last bunch of hit points. And that's going to be the end of his Slayer of Kings buff. He won't probably get another one off before the end of the battle. So Archaon avoiding the Spearman at this point. He doesn't want to take the extra hit point damage, and I can't say I blame him. Just let the Chosen do that work. And he's going to try and route the archers, which should have an impact on the power bar. There goes one of them. You can see where the power bar's at, but here's where the fact that flying units get a free charge here, and they do get a free charge, and they kill Archaon on the charge. And at this point, Chaos is in some huge trouble. You can see the power bar immediately shifts back to put the High Elves in the game, and somehow the Chosen managed to hold strong and beat the Star Dragon without terror routing. I think it's because Teclis wasn't there at the same time. Teclis dives in, and so here, this game is on a knife's edge. It could flip either way here. Teclis might get the terror route. The Chosen might be able to kill him. If Teclis pulls away, in order to come in for another charge. He might rout from being attacked in the rear. So again, the game is on an absolute knife's edge here, and somehow, against all odds, the Chosen managed to tank this one out. And what I have to say is probably one of the most epic endings I've seen to a battle in a long time. That was a great replay. Absolutely great from Setzer and Kafka. Good play by both players. Good play by both players. Early on in the battle, I don't know if I caught it, but Kafka like dodged a fireball really skillfully and was doing some nice play trying to get rid of that Hell Cannon. Again, early on for Chaos, nice play with the Marauder Horseman, baiting and tempting those flying units. Overall, I thought this was a really fun game. This was a good game with two good players, clearly, that picked armies that are both pretty powerful, and this was really neat to see Archaon be able to pull this one off. Teclis is a great pick right now for the High Elves. Some people may have objections to the way he, like, I don't love the fact that he's on a Phoenix. I felt like he was already a decent Lord to begin with. I think the Phoenix kind of made it overkill, but at the same time, some people like it because it, just changes things up, gives us something new. But again, fantastic game between Setzer and Kafka here. Absolutely love this one. Appreciate both players. And Setzer, thanks for sending this one in. It did not disappoint. And if we take a look here, look at the Warriors of Chaos. Solid kills for both of the Chosen units. These guys ended up being very important here. Again, the shields, an obvious pick. I've done this type of strategy against the Wood Elves and the High Elves. Obviously, I'm not a great player. It doesn't help me win every time, but I have used it to good effect multiple times, which is just bringing tons of Chaos Warriors and other heavily shielded and armored units. And it can be enough sometimes to overwhelm the High Elves. Where the High Elves sometimes can regain that advantage is through their magic and their terror, which they absolutely nearly did in this case, as far as pulling it back. And some people might be like, well, why pick standard archers against Chaos? That won't do a lot. They actually can. They can be useful. Standard archers, don't underestimate these guys. They're not great at piercing armor, but they're cheap, and they've got decent range. They can help get rid of Marauder Horsemen. They can shoot at flying units. And you'll notice that Kafka deployed these archers, one on each flank, and then one in the middle. They're spread very far apart, which, in case Chaos had brought a flyer or done something else, none of these archers are standing super close to each other where it's an easy one-hit kill, as they're all in one bunch. And I think that that's an interesting takeaway that, I and others need to take in terms of being better at multiplayer, or just better when you're playing even the AI. Not grouping up valuable units like that, but spreading them out. Same with the Swordmasters. They weren't grouped up. They were out on the flank. They had a spear support in case they were going to get charged by like a Knights or a Knights with Lances. So, again, very solid play on Kafka's part and very solid play on Setzer's part as well. Fun game. A lot of good fundamentals in here. If you're looking to improve at this game, you can watch stuff like this and learn a lot. Myself included. Obviously, I'm not perfect at this game, but that's one of the reasons why I like watching these replays. Number one, they're entertaining. And two, sometimes you just learn cool stuff, like the fact that the Star Dragon is weak to fire. So again, something cool that you might be able to take away and put to use elsewhere as you're playing Warhammer 2. So again, thanks to both players. Hey, if you all enjoyed the video today, make sure to go up there and hit the like button. When you hit the like button, it helps support the channel, and I could always use your support. And speaking of support, thank you for being here. You all are fantastic. I've been making these videos for well over a decade, and guess what? I'm not tired of it. I love it. It is wonderful to have you here. I'm going to keep making videos. If you want to see more, you can also subscribe and hit the bell to make sure you get notified if that's what you want. And I do hope to see you then. HeirofCarthage signing out for now.